Hey boys, and mostly boys, do you like talking with other people that have the same interest in TF2 as you? Well, Amino is an app that gives you exactly that, not just for TF2, but for all sorts of interests. Although, specifically, we're discussing the TF2 Amino here, which I'm sponsored by to promote today. It's got a great deal of features that I like, such as reading other people roleplay and f***ing with them. You can also take quizzes and chat with like-minded people. Don't even tell me you don't want to chat with people. Judging by the comment section, most of you need some healthy human interaction. If you guys want to have some of that good human interaction you need so badly with me, I'm hosting a Q&A for a couple hours after this video goes live. Follow me at Minozit and ask me stuff there. I'll be there to participate in all of this and more for free. There's links in both the description and the pinned YouTube comment. Either download the specific TF2 Amino or generic Amino, and then search TF2 to join. Woo! Paycheck.
Platypus, fatipus, but you can call me Oedipus. Daddy isn't proud of us. Oops, I'm a cuck. No.
Hey kids, it's me, Whiny Hot Take X TF2 Boy, back for another hot take. You've probably already decided you don't like this video because the new Panic Attack is boring as fuck, and if you like my channel, you like boring shit. I've been dragged out of the hellhole that is playing Fortnite for 12 hours a day to talk about TF2 once again for money, and goddamn, this game is unchanged, to say it charitably. Invisible players, shitty comp matchmaking, cheaters, years-old bugs, and the Panic Attack is now just another boring stat-swapped shotgun that I'm obligated to talk about because my affinity for this shotgun is literally the only thing written about me on the TV Tropes Wiki. Fuck, I need a breath after that one. Honestly, I'm okay with that because the only other things to write about me are that I'm edgy, pretentious, and stupid, so that entry is probably a little bit charitable even if it does match the length of my penis. This video isn't really meant to be a super dig at Valve, but I do want to be selfish for a bit and make a pseudo-eulogy bitch fest about how one of my favorite guns in the game died and became another boring stat swap shotgun. I would say that the new rework of the Panic Attack makes it the worst shotgun in the game, but the old Panic Attack was already the worst shotgun in the game, so that's kind of irrelevant. Despite still being the worst shotgun in the game, in my opinion, it is markedly better post-rework at the cost of it being an interesting weapon to play with. The old Panic Attack had this weird, goofy mode of play with very little practical function on anything but NG, where you were incentivized to turn your secondary weapon into your primary, often sacrificing mobility, DPS, utility, or any other number of things so that you could pump out a little under 400 damage with a single volley of 4 shotgun shells, not including the absurd crit rate on any burst action weapon in TF2. The weapon also got significantly worse as you got hurt, meaning you needed to sneak around and play smart to ensure you could hit your shotgun shots, baiting people around corners or flanking them while uninjured to ensure that you could land every shotgun shell and burst them down. It was weird, it was funny, it was strange, and it was probably my favorite weapon to meme with in retrospect, especially on heavy. And now it's every other shotgun with some number changes. Oops, did I beef a rocket and run out of primary ammo? Better finish this guy off with my Panic Attack. Oh, that actually hurt my throat. I guess to provide context, I'm gonna need to recount the old stats from one of my shitty old videos, and then I'm gonna recap the new stats in the shitty current one that you're staring at. Alright, this weapon reloads twice as fast. It deploys fast. You start off firing slightly faster than the stock shotty, and then speeds up to twice as fast. Your spread starts off slightly more spread than the stock, and then spreads even further and becomes damn near impossible to hit with people. And becomes damn near impossible to hit people with at any range other than right up their ass. So as sexy as that sounds, you don't want to spread despite the faster firing speed whenever you're damaged. This weapon deals damage per shot on par with the stock shotgun, including crit damage. Now, why am I bringing that up? That seems almost normal, right? You don't expect crits that often. This weapon will crit all the goddamn time, even fucking mathematically. It doesn't just feel like it'll crit all the time, mathematically it will crit all the time. With a base chance of 2% on every shot, and with you rolling the dice 4 times, you will have a critical shot in literally 7.8% of all your volleys, assuming you don't have a boosted crit chance from dealing prior damage. Basically, you have an 8% chance to immediately win any of the one-on-one fights you just entered The new gun has a set attack interval with 50% more pellets and 20% less damage, with no variations based on health. Instead of the old stats, this weapon's spread just increases the more you fire it in a set 3x5 pattern, meaning that while the shotgun deals about 108 damage at max to the stock shotgun's 90, you're not very likely to hit as many of the pellets, making the effective damage lessened somewhat. But to say that this weapon breaking that damage threshold isn't important would be a little bit disingenuous. The only other benefit other than that is that this shotgun deploys faster. Based on my heuristics and somewhat dated understanding of how TF2 works, this shotgun is outclassed as shit by literally everything else. All of it. The weapon as it is clearly designed to be a secondary, and the amount that you have to switch between your secondaries and your primary with Engineer is somewhat small, so we're not going to talk about him anymore after this. This weapon is no longer a weapon almost designed as a primary for the Engineer. It's now designed as a secondary for every other class. For all like 3 soldiers out there not running the gun butts, I guess the Panic Attack is only a mildly worse version of any of the other shotguns available to you. If you want a shotgun on soldier, you probably want a secondary capable of both finishing off opponents on low health at mid ranges because you're out of rockets, and capable of killing someone at point blank because shooting rockets at your feet is bad for your health. The Panic Attack trades being shit at the first for being mildly better at the second. Congrats, you've solved a problem you didn't need to be solved and made everything else worse. Way to go. The reserve shooter is better, stock is better. Just how it is. For heavy, he has really no need for shotguns at all. I don't think I need to state that, but I do like to make my show accessible to the handicapped. For many of you, I can imagine that watching this show is like staring into a mirror. Anyway, Heavy's minigun does anything the shotgun is capable of and more, unless you're memeing around. The only way you'd want a shotgun over any of the lunchboxes is if you're running Brass Beast, which is pretty clearly the uncontested worst heavy primary. You might want a shotgun if you're using the Natasha, but not really. Regardless, if you're using the Brass Beast, you're gonna want a shotgun more reliable and well-rounded than the Panic Attack if you're looking for mobile defense. The only real conceivable reason you'd want to use this shotgun with heavy is if you're memeing with the KGB and you want the faster switch speed. But let's be real, if you're gonna choose between your shotgun and your minigun when the Tomislav exists while using granted crits, you're gonna be using the Tomislav. The prep time is slightly longer, but the payoff is 1,000-fold more powerful. You turn into a motherfucking laser beam, and you get to carry a sandwich because you're not using your shotgun slot. And that leaves Pyro, the only place where I guess this weapon has some actual use even if the choices you're making aren't interesting. I'd argue that Pyro is probably the only class here that desperately wants to get into point blank range to deal damage with their weaponry, meaning that the fact that the Panic Attack breaks the 100 damage threshold but the stock shotgun misses, and the downsides of its worst spread are largely moot. The Panic Attack even has some switch combo facilitations with its stats, which means if you want to run the Panic Attack and the stock flamethrower as a combo set, that's pretty viable in pubs, I guess. Not that all stock on Pyro already wasn't, or using stock as a combo already wasn't. Congrats on Pyro with this shotgun. You've traded your potential mid-range for point blank excellence. You did it. Look at that great choice you made. I don't really know where I'm going with this video. Valve turned what was ostensibly an interesting and unique shotgun primary for Engineer that was also granted to the other 3 classes for whatever reason into a boring stat-swapped shotgun secondary for Pyro that's still granted to the other 3 classes discussed. I guess that's it. I miss the old gun. I don't necessarily blame Valve because the old gun was obviously never used, but I get the strange feeling that the new one is going largely untouched too, despite being mildly better than prior. And it's not because it's worse than its other contemporary options. I mean, it's still workable. At one point, I think I got like a 20 kill streak with the thing. It's because it's boring. It's not a very interesting choice to make. And the one place where you can make the choice really doesn't benefit in a major way. You're making significant trade-offs for very little benefit with no fun incentive either. Anyway, I'm just glad I was able to get this video in before somebody larger than me kicked off a giant hive mind discussion causing me to get crucified over my opinions on virtual weapons. The way as it stands now, the only thing you guys can crucify me for are my shitty attitude, my inherent greed, and my obnoxious voice. Goodbye, old friend, and maybe when I come back to TF2 to make another sponsored video in 6 months, you'll be reverted, but I'm not about to hold my breath. Go watch the videos I actually wanted to make, losers. Here's one all about that yummy in my tummy furry porn on Newgrounds. And here's one about a hypersexualized Minecraft anime series on Amazon. And here's one about Minecraft fart fanfiction made by the only person on Earth probably more autistic than me. Fucking peace out, cucks.